David Morey is one of today's most sought-after business speakers.
I want to speak with you tonight about how to win. The Underdog Advantage argues and teaches the strategy of the insurgent, the underdog. And we argue that this is part of national security.
We have a public diplomacy, if not crisis, challenge.
They have to have that perpetual paranoia that took them to the office in the beginning.
In his award-winning book, The Underdog Advantage, Morey brings alive the underdog strategies that have helped him win presidential campaigns on 4 continents and add market value and profits to some of the world's greatest companies.
The way we're viewed around the world isn't just image and PR.
David, you've consulted with numerous foreign leaders.
There's incumbents and insurgents. Incumbents play defense. They are bureaucratic. They look inside themselves. They become politicized. They are paralyzed. Their default position is to play defense, not offense. They're afraid of change because they think change is going to work against them. To use the sports metaphor, they hold on to the ball. They don't think about scoring.
As one of America's best corporate speakers, Morey tackles the political arena.
It's not about PR. You've got to bring public diplomacy inside the policymaking process.
Insurgents, on the other hand, have this sort of attitude of playing offense. They use strategy better than their opponents. Their default position is to go on the attack, is to play offense.
David Morey can bring the underdog spirit out in anyone.
They borrow Bear Bryant's criterion for recruiting high school football players. I want them mobile, agile, and hostile. I want them mobile, agile, and hostile, and such as an insurgent. They have this attitude of breaking away from the status quo.
David's experience spans both public and private sectors. His inspired and effective strategies have improved life for anyone from national leaders to young professionals.
The first thing we say to a client when we deal with a big company is stop acting like a leader. Go back to the roots that made you great. Find a way to go back to that underdog spirit that made you so powerful as you became that leader. The second people become leaders, they have problems. I mean, that's the sort of burden of incumbency.
Morey motivates people not only to become winners, but he unveils and leverages their natural qualities, allowing them to both maintain leadership and handle crisis.
9/11 changed not just the business world in which we operate, not just government. Look at what it did to national security. Crisis has now become standard operating procedure. Let me ask you a question. Metaphorically, are you in a political campaign today? Are you facing challenges unlike those you have ever seen before? Is crisis standard operating procedure? Are you in a competition that you must win? I mean, think about the answers. If the answer is yes, 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 or yes, you're in a political campaign. Whatever your worlds are, whatever your businesses are or your nonprofit experiences are, this stuff works. Let me give you some specific examples of how indeed it does work. The first example, what I would say, is do the doable. How many people have 25 calls they need to make, and you get the first 5 done and the next 20 just happen? The idea of doing the doable, we have stolen from political battlefields. Get the stuff you can get done first. Pick the low-hanging fruit.
Morey uses these winning lessons with leaders around the world.
This goes beyond the Middle East.
We've got to rethink the way we articulate American interest and foreign policy around the world. We've got to use a new approach, even a revolutionary approach.
The second example of applying the insurgent principles is called forget reality. Perceptions rule. The best marketers in the world, the best politicians, the best governments have this ability to understand what their constituents are thinking. They have this wonderful ability to understand, put themselves in their shoes.
Morey can help all companies, big or small, to adopt the underdog strategy.
The third principle is play offense. It's about going on the attack. I can't give you an example of a campaign in 25 years of working on campaigns and watching them where a candidate or campaign has won that hasn't been on the offensive. There's this great sort of sense of the ESPN rule of prevent defense. You all rooting for your favorite football team, and that football team is 3 touchdowns ahead, and all of a sudden they come in at 5 minutes to go in the game and they start putting in more defensive backs, right? And what happens? The one team starts scoring on the other because prevent defense does not work. The other team starts scoring right away again and again and again. Playing offense is a way of going on the attack. Playing offense is a way of defining yourself.
Morey brings alive the underdog's fighting spirit, the underdog's will to win.
We argue you've got to prioritize public diplomacy. You've got to bring it in right to the center of the policy-making decision. That's the way you make a difference around the world.
And let me get back to the key issue. It's not
Control the
about
dialogue. Control that dialogue. Define yourself before your opponent can do it. And keep defining yourself. That's what great companies, that's what great political leaders, that's what great people do in many ways if you think about it. And controlling that dialogue, defining yourself, is a two-way conversation. You know, who's the most interesting person you all met at a cocktail party? Probably someone who listened a lot to what you're saying. We are all from a country born of revolution, in many ways conceived by underdogs, by insurgents. Our founding fathers literally would have been hung if they lost that war. It's in our bloodline, yours, my bloodline. We all love an underdog, because none of us have to go too far back in our lineage to find one. If you think about it, I know it's true for me. All of our best in life probably happened when we were fighting like an underdog. From behind, no complacency, on the offense, pulling, hauling, yanking our way up. Ladies and gentlemen, may the underdog in each of us always hold the advantage. Thank you.
David Morey, motivational speaker, corporate strategist, foreign policy advisor, university professor, award-winning author, acclaimed entrepreneur. Morey can help you and your company rediscover the underdog inside and overcome life's challenges to find the true essence of a winner.